The Wonder. Fade in, exterior, skating pond, day, 1894. Spring, suggested by darker patches on the ice. J.D. Battisford, 9, and his brother Richard, 7, skating rapidly, playing tag. Their clothes are gear and Victorian, caps, scarves, and double-bladed skates. Richard, the nimbler, more stylish skater, catches the gawkier J.D.
You're it.
Why, you mean faster and better?
Laughing, Richard dashes in a weaving pattern towards the center of the pond, closely pursued by J.D.
When I get you, you're dead.
Richard glances back.
You wish.
Realizing he is outrun, J.D. slows.
Hey, you're not supposed to go out so far.
Laughing, Richard turns, skating backwards and taunting. Just as J.D. is about to warn him, Richard glides onto a dark patch and crack, the ice gives.
Look out, Richard!
J.D. is paralyzed with horror and fear. Super, 18 years later. Interior, train compartment, day. J.D., now 28, handsome and ascetic, clearly a gentleman. He holds a book as if reading intently, but distracted. He stares out the window.
Pim, next stop, Pim.
The screech of the train whistle obliterates J.D.'s reverie. Exterior, steam engine, rural countryside, day. As the train pulls away, a sign appears. Aylesbury, Hampdenshire. Verandat June, foliage virtually explodes. Interior, train compartment, day. Other passengers also read, among them Linda, 21, smartly dressed, large-featured and vivacious. She eyes J.D. flirtatiously before returning to her magazine. The other two, a blocky, ruddy, bespectacled fellow, 50s, and a ragged, bearded, weedy, myopic man, 60s, quietly read newspapers. A plain and gaunt Ellen Mary, 48, unfashionable and world-weary, enters hesitantly with her 7-year-old son, Victor, whose abnormally large head shines like a polished alabaster, save for flaming ginger wisps above his ears and at the base of his skull. Victor's mouth and chin are diminutive, his nose flaring and upturned. He wears an ill-fitting suit, exacerbating an impression that he is frail. Incongruously, his eyes belie that, since his signal stare pierces any subject while simultaneously looking into beyond it, an unsettling effect magnified by hairless brows. Deep in thought, J.D. glances up, his expression freezing momentarily as he attempts to suppress his shock and dismay. Looking away, he glances down at the cover of his book. Insert close on J.D.'s book, Creative Evolution by Henry Bergenson.
If we could view the evolution of life in its entirety, spontaneity and unforeseeability would thrust themselves on our attention.
J.D. scans the faces of others who clearly make no attempt to hide contempt and disgust. J.D.'s gaze is drawn back to Victor. Victor returns his glance, mouthing the word evolution. J.D. starts shifting uncomfortably. Amused, Victor is implacable, his gaze unrelenting. J.D. shifts again. Finally, Victor turns to regard the myopic man hiding behind his police gazette. Victor's eyes scan rapidly, ostensibly speed reading its back pages. J.D. watches, mesmerized. Sensing something, the myopic man lowers his paper. He returns the boy's gaze, openly hostile. Victor turns his gaze on the bespectacled fellow paper. Again, he scans rapidly. The bespectacled fellow shifts uncomfortably, lowering his paper.
Remarkable child, ma'am. Quite remarkable.
Ellen Mary's eyebrows twitch, and her lip trembles, setting off jet ornaments on her hat. She puts her hand protectively on Victor's shoulder.
Indeed, sir.
Linda glances up and smiles sympathetically at Ellen Mary.
Can it talk?
Indeed, sir, but he doesn't venture much.
And the doctors, if I may be so bold, what is their opinion?
Oh, unsatisfying, frankly. For the most part, they seem at a loss.
Is it he, not water on the brain? What?
Victor snorts.
I say.
J.D. closes his book and observes Victor's nostrils flare.
Our Victor's got more sense than an ordinary child. He can read.
Ah, he goes to school then.
No, sir. I taught it myself.
Did you?
School for him? What for? He put the others off.
Ellen Mary glares at him. Linda politely shakes her head. Ignoring this, Victor returns JD's gaze. He nods just perceptibly towards the myopic man and his police gazette.
Transgressions illogical.
I'm sorry.
Victor is silent.
Did you hear him? What was that? Victor?
Mumbo jumbo.
Hardly. He said transgressions illogical.
I didn't hear any such thing.
Well, I did.
Aha! Say it again, son.
Victor gazes out the window. Ellen Mary tugs briefly at his arm, then frowns and shakes her head to JD.
The lady heard him as well, and I'm certain he just read the backs of your police news. And your paper as well.
Come.
He does read right quick.
He's a freak.
That's enough, sir. Your manners.
Victor brings his gaze back to JD, and then to Linda. She glares at the myopic man.
He's no more a freak than some others I've met.
Hello, just you look at him, girly girl.
Judge not, that be not.
The myopic man curls his lip. Victor smiles, inconclusively grateful at JD. JD blushes and smiles.
If he doesn't look like other children, it's because he's not like them. He's,
Remarkable?
The train shrieks to a stop. Ellen Mary stands abruptly and exits, taking Victor's hands. He follows willingly, shooting an amused glance at JD as he passes. JD glares at the two male passengers. The bespectacled man grunts his disapproval. The myopic man sneers and shakes his head. JD snaps open his book. Linda adjusts her hat, stands, and smiles down at JD. As she exits, JD reads,
We meet in our daily experience special manifestations of life, which repeat almost forms and facts already known to us.
JD looks up, perplexed. He stands, fumbles with his bulging carpet bag, and leaves, cutting the other two passengers.